And welcome to Waves of Starlight.
Level 3!
Chapter 1.5, let's call it this. So, by the way, you will admire the new layout, the new overlay. And you will also admire the character art on the tokens. Which I have not updated yet on Roll20. I'll have to do that. Anyways.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Yes.
Thank you.
If you watched that, I believe it was a second video in the series months ago now, you would have gotten a preview of the art. You finally caught up with this timeline. Congratulations. On that note, last we left off our four adventurers, our buccaneers, or sailors, or whatever you might want to call them. They had delved deeply into Sentinel Island, this craggy mass of black rock, to discover treasure and a ship. And, as Astrea noticed, a map to, let's call it civilization. Moving a bit forward in time, you manage to have a look at the ship. Going backwards and forwards. So, a schooner cobbled up from the remnants of 6 different ships, making this a Frankenstein's monster, a chimera of sorts, of different styles and origins. The shipwright, who took the time, probably decades, to create this vessel, is currently still tied up. He's slowly come to his senses, though at least the senses he still has left. Emil Markov is still very much in a state of confusion and savagery, but halfway from merfolk to marrow. You haven't had the time really to get to know him and to get to that, but there is, whenever you walk by Astrea, especially if you happen to have the pearl on you, there is a struggle for him to sort of try and get rid of his bindings. His eyes will not leave anyone who actually holds the pearl.
Mm-hmm.
The treasure itself, as Farron came, is underwhelming as opposed to the sheer mass of it that you'd seen. 500 gold pieces worth. It's still a good fortune, but the first image of just seeing it all there seemed to be much more than that. But Farron, you would notice a lot of it are half coins or half measures, right? Silver pieces, copper pieces. There's a little bit of electrum because, yes, apparently it comes from all worlds, and some worlds use electrum. The ship, as you go through it, Astrea, this is where you see Gizmo maybe at his more professional value.
Mm-hmm.
As Gizmo, if I remember correctly, you do have training, at least in those kinds of tools. Oh.
Yes.
The ship, technically, as it is, would be seaworthy. Ish. Right? It could still use a little bit of work, a little bit of touch-up. There are planks here and there that could need a bit of mending or some filling in. But technically, it is seaworthy. It's a very fancy raft in its current state. It would need a more professional and approach to its to the building, but this would only be in port. But it'll get you there.
Okay.
The maps that you had are less of a map and more just of a remembered way of getting back to the Drake Islands, at least from here. You're wondering, if Emil sort of scrambled this from memory, he's quite the navigator as well. In Astrea, by studying the map, you would realize that this would get you safely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, safely as any voyage over the ether would bring you.
Yeah. If there are no storms, if we don't have too many attacks, if yeah,
Lots of if.
yeah.
I'm guessing that you are going to try and signal your crew, well, the rest of the survivors, basically, right? Back on Bulwark Island.
Yeah. We could try and signal them, but the problem is we have the skiff anyway, so they wouldn't be able to cross.
Well, for all intents and purposes, this ship, hidden away in this cove, is safe.
Yep.
From any outside weather, which means as long it'll wait for you as long as you need. What do you do?
Gizmo?
Yes, sir.
Would you be able to assess the ship, evaluate what can and needs to be done in order to make her really seaworthy, or as seaworthy as you can make her?
Gizmo will try to do its best.
And if you can make us a list of the materials you would need, there are still a couple of ships that we can scavenge from if we needed more parts.
He salutes the tall lady and he scrambles off towards the ship.
Okay. Why don't you make me a intelligence tools? So just roll intelligence plus proficiency.
So I will roll directly in roll 20 because
Yep.
it's not letting me pick my subclass.
Oh.
So I'm basically stuck. And but I've got my copy here, so it's fine. And you said the tools, right?
Yeah, tools. So basically, it'll be basically your intelligence plus proficiency.
Intelligence plus proficiency, that was a 6. That's a lot, wow.
Yeah.
So basic roll bonus is 6. We'll call it tools. Voila.
14. Okay. As far as you can tell, it floats. The hull itself is just what you need, right? It is it's good work. It's tarred. Anything that you need. The hull itself is sane. Is safe. Where it needs work is anything above the decks.
The decks, okay.
So basically all the details that make a hull into a ship. So the cabins, there aren't any cabin walls, for example. There hasn't been anything.
On the quarters.
Yeah,
okay.
there's no quarters, stuff like that. So it's
Okay.
going to be a bit. That's going to be a bit more difficult.
What about the sails?
So the sails have been. You can see that in certain parts of the cave, long stretches of sails have been sort of set up to dry out from the ether. The stitching is amateurish at best. it'll hold a steady wind, but it will not hold a storm.
Okay. Okay.
So
I will.
So this, and there's just enough sails to rig this particular two-mast ship, which means if one of them tears, you do not have any reserves.
We do have reserves though, because we gathered what was left over from the sails of the other ships when we were still back on the first island. That was something. Yeah.
Oh.
So we would have to go get them, but
Yes.
we probably
we
have a
have
couple of
backups.
more sails.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could cobble up some spare sails if needed. Yeah. So okay, Gizmo, that's you. That's going to be basically your work for the next couple of hours. What the rest do you do? Astrea?
I think. Do we have any signs of living quarters for the captain here, or no?
What do you mean?
So I mean, living quarters in the grotto or not?
Oh, no. There's that desk that you saw up in a corner of the cave, but other than that, there's no bed, there's no bedding or hammock or anything along those lines. No.
Okay.
But he
then,
he is technically half marrow, so he would be underwater.
Yeah, sleeping
submerged
under
most of the time,
the Aether. Yeah. And now I have the image of, merfolk half lying on the beach with the sea coming and, covering him up like
Over like a blanket.
like a parent who covers their child. But that apart, I would suggest actually going with the skiff back to Bulwark Island and eventually gathering up the crew that could help Gizmo finishing up the ship.
Okay.
Not that I would go if needed, but and I would also ask Pax, because clearly Emil doesn't like me, so I would ask Pax, you got things from the legend from the captain's quarters, right? A statuette.
Yes, you had found in the Legends captain's quarters. You had found a small statue and a necklace, sort of with a cameo of another merfolk. Muted.
You muted.
Bloody hell. I can deal with the prisoner.
Because if we give them back as a sign of goodwill, and maybe that will jog back some rational memories. I don't know. At this point, any way to get him in a functional state would be good.
And Pax will dryly start walking down the corridor to head where Emil was left behind.
Thank you, Pax.
Farron, how about you?
I think I will just investigate the ship and see kind of like, hey, old habits die hard. How's the galley looking? How are the quarters? How is the quality of life for the crew set up, and what needs to be added?
None.
Right.
This is there's barely separations between. Any sort of interior walls, for example, have barely been set up.
Right.
Like I said, this is a ship from the outside, but on the inside, it's going to be difficult.
I mean, when you don't have wood to burn on those things.
Priorities, clearly.
Yeah.
No, so I think not having the expertise of a shipwright, but having worked with quartermasters and bosuns is going to start doing a mental inventory of, well, we have the ship, now what do we need for maintenance? What do we need to keep it afloat? And is going to start setting up a list and trying to compare it to what he knows is the inventory of what is at camp. Trying to get that work done as much as he can.
There's a lot that you can do with little, right? But whatever trip you might be taking will have to be a short hop, because this is not going to last very long. At least that's what that is your first findings. But yes, for example, the whole, the kitchen needs complete stocking. Fortunately, you had found some effects in that abandoned camp on Bulwark Island, so you might be able to use that. Most likely, anything that had been in the galley, at least the materials from the legend, had been recycled and brought back into the camp. So maybe that can be restored in some way. So you won't be using cutlasses to cut your vegetables, but you might be.
How many people do I how many people do I know we're going to need to actually make this ship move?
Okay.
That is also a question that Astrea is going to ask herself.
Let's see. If I remember correctly, it's around. You're gonna need about somewhere along the lines of the ship. If it was fully manned, would seat about 30 people.
Yeah.
And knowing that the fact that you are under half that is, so you're under what would be needed to be a skeleton crew. So you're not going to be able to handle all the ship stations at once.
No, I am not talking all the ship stations, but the bare minimum. So
the bare minimum you would need roughly around 15 people, which you're just shy of.
Okay. So we are already barely gonna make it to Drake Island, because that's probably the closest and the one we have directions to, but we're gonna get there exhausted as well. Okay. So, but there's the
skeleton.
difference.
So just so you know, the maximum crew is 32, and the skeleton crew is 16.
Yeah, skeleton crew, because ships work in a way that you need you don't need even the skeleton crew to make it move. You need the skeleton crew because you need to man it 24/7. So if we want to move it to Bulwark Island, which is just a quick hop and not a 24/7 journey, how many people do we need? Like 5, 10, 15? Or do we need a full 15?
I would say, I would say with a quick calculation, it would be easier to bring all your crew to Sentinel Island than the other way around.
Okay. Then I am going to start. Trying to do that, because that is going to take some time. But first, how is Pax coming along with?
Let's have a look.
Emil. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Paint me the scene. What do I find when I go back to our...
He's the knots that you tied are are strong enough, right? It's not the first time you've handled a prisoner. It's not the first time you've handled his type of physiology. And to be honest, there's a moment where he's not too sure of his own physiology as well, right? You can see on land at least, those vestigial legs are trying to move or trying to... if he tries to move, he tries to remember his merfolk ways, but the merfolk body parts aren't working correctly. So the confusion is physical as well. But as he comes to you, there's definitely a animalistic glare at you, right? It's the same. It's trying to determine whether you are prey or predator, right? Trying to situate you according to, as opposed to in opposition to itself, where you both are on the predatorial ladder, basically.
Okay. As I recognize this, I'm just going to go full in his field of vision because, well, he doesn't really have much choice where he can look. Go crisscross applesauce in front of him and like lean my head forward, and very slowly my membrane will start lifting. And as it lifts, my mouth opens unnaturally wide, just showing the depths of all those rows of teeth inside of my mouth. And then as I let out a hiss and my membrane starts vibrating, and you quite clearly hear the echoing like tremble across the cave. And, and as it happens, the spots of ether that are present on his membrane, almost as if droplets of water seem to shift down and move and settle on his collarbone. And another drop briefly looks like it's climbing, as if evaporating towards his eye. His eye gains a bit of translucent mode before settling back into place. Pax's membrane settles, but he doesn't retreat his face from Emil's, and he's trying to gauge to see if he's set the pecking order.
Make me an intimidation check.
All right. So I just became level 3.
Yes.
That allows me to do something you've already allowed me to do before.
Yes.
Does this count as one of those?
I will say yes.
All right. I just became proficient in intimidation, so there we go.
Okay. Right. There's definitely that moment where the intimidation, so with the 12, maybe it would have worked on anyone with a civilized perspective, right? As in, there's definitely that stance of yours is supposed to inspire fear, as in fight or flight. And in your experience, flight has usually been the case. Here, it hits something primal, something just as predatory as you are, and his mouth goes wide, and you can see those long, thin teeth, almost like a a sea eel. What this murène? You know
An eel.
Just an eel.
Yeah, sort of a moray eel, kind of. And there's that as he sort of responds again with this same sort of violence, almost in a way of responding. He's responding in kind to your standoff.
I'm gonna wait.
Not very effective, as I've rolled a natural 5. So.
Ooh. as he's hissing back, I'm just waiting for the hiss to, like, end up without air. I plant the torch down into, whatever sand is now exposed, just to have it, like, flicker nearby, not to be in his face. And I just dig into my pouch, pull out the locket, open it, and push it, like, towards where his eye cannot look past it. And I go, now do that again.
Interesting. So, your new subclass allows you to do something else with strength.
Ooh, still need to learn my subclass.
So, any persuasion roll, I want you to roll persuasion, but with strength.
Let me just quickly make myself a persuasion with strength.
Technically, it only happens in combat, but this is more than valid.
Persuasion, strength. Blah. Ooh, that is an 8. Oh, you know what?
What?
I'm going to use Tactical Mind and
Okay.
burn one of my second winds
Okay.
to add a d10 to that roll.
Okay.
Nice.
So this is with advantage anyway, so you can roll that d10 on top of the 10.
All right. Brings it to a 17.
17.
Interesting. The mouth closes, the neck sort of retracts backwards, and his gaze moves away, both from yours and from the pendant. There's I would say, no need for insight in this case. He's retracting, almost sort of putting his head between his shoulders, looking away. There's almost shame.
You have two choices. You become what wants to kill me, or, and I put the little locket on the ground, the little statue next to it. You remember what's truly precious, and you join me. And I think at that moment, Pax is gonna be cocky enough to cut the ropes.
Okay.
And just takes a step to the side. He's gonna be prepared in case he charges at him, though. He's gonna not necessarily have his weapon out, but he will brace.
The attention of his attention is, I don't think he notices the ropes being cut. He's been that shameful stance as you place down the two items in front of him. How long do you stay with him?
As long as it takes to get an answer.
Okay. Minutes go by. It's that moment of an animal who's been mistreated, of as a, that rescue those rescue pets, right? The rescue dogs or whatnot that have been mistreated all their most of their time, miserable. They are scared. They don't know where they are, but just by somebody's presence or by that sort of gestural attention or whatnot, the tension sort of fades in a way. It takes a while, maybe an hour, maybe even two, where its attention is first, it's trying to avoid anything to do with those two items, right? It is shifting, it is moving about. The ropes have been cut off, so it's a bit free in its movement, but it doesn't want to acknowledge these echoes of its past. But you gave it a mission, you gave it a question, and it's trying to find the answer, not to answer you, but to answer itself. And you can see you with this cold-blooded view of another cold-blooded animal in a way, right? Merfolk have their expressions, but you were watching this without projecting any mammalian humanoid emotions onto it. It takes time, and then I think at some point it just looks up at you, to the locket, holds it, sort of palms it, and looks to you and says, I failed. Crew dead, gone. Pearl stolen. Ship stolen.
You owe nothing to this island. So, why don't you crew on the ship that you built? Why don't you follow the pearl where it now goes?
I'm changing. Changed. And you can see that there's a gesture almost of, this time he's not looking at you when he says it, he's looking at the statue, and there is that gentle, just the tip of the claw that sort of gently just strokes the from neck to shoulder of the statue itself. Not Rokov. Other. You want this? Accept this?
Pax is going to rise up to his full length. He's gonna pull off the leather strap from his shoulder. He's going to completely open up his shirt and display a complete canvas of different types of wounds and scars and stuff that nigh disfigure bodies from plenty of combats with explosive materials near the ether. It would show different discolorations on his scales, also different pieces of fully translucent blotches on his skin. You tell me, are you worth accepting?
He sort of looks to that fresh wound around your arms where he bit not but a few hours ago. bite quick. I was captain once. Responsible. Protector. Trusted. I failed. How can I trust when all who did died or gone?
Well, then don't. You were captain. You know these seas. Sailing doesn't require trust. Respect, however, trumps. How do you respect your crew? Your fallen crew? By rotting away in this cave.
Sort of nods. It says, I carry them. Names, stories. That is how I bring them. If you can trust, if you can respect the danger that I can be, then I can join.
You'll get to know me, Markov. I bite quick too.
And with that, Pax, I would say that we will confirm your station as level 3 fighter, Scofflaw, and
Absolutely.
as position of first mate on the ship. And we will be adding to the roster Emil Markov, the half marrow, who just so happens to have, well, ranks in both, was it navigation? No. Ranks in captain, carpenter, and quartermaster.
Nice.
So you can only fill in one spot at a time, but we'll be able to fill any missing ranks that you might need.
4 charisma, guys. A talk between creatures that have less than 5 charisma. That
Yes. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
worked so well.
Yeah.
Which also means that I need to I'll handle that somehow. Need to create his character sheet for you guys. Anyways.
I'm not gonna say that I had planned that when I sent Pack talking with Emil, but yeah, I kind
Kinda.
of hope.
Okay. let's... Gizmo. You've been looking through the ship now for, about an hour's worth, right? Mm-hmm. This is something that you haven't necessarily experienced before. This sort of empty hull of a ship, right? You've seen them as they've been built, as you've been... Your experience with ships is pretty much new to the Aetherial Expanse. I don't imagine that you've done any Waterdavian shipyards.
Probably not.
But it's one of the things where there's something about this ship in particular that allows you to almost take it apart and understand how it works.
Okay.
The same way that you would do for any mechanism. Take it apart, clean the parts, and see how they fit again. You can see where the logic, where a door or a wall might be, where you would put a cabin, and you can see that even in this monstrosity of a ship, this improvisation of a ship, you can see that it will allow construction of a particular nature, where you can see where the improvised nature of the hull would allow an improvised nature of its interior.
Okay.
And I think that there's a moment where you find, just on the edge, as you're looking through the bilge, and you're looking at one of the older pieces of wood, and just between two cracks, there's just that slow glow that maybe no one would have really noticed but you. And you pull out from one of these wooden beams, these wooden planks, a sliver. It's about maybe the size of your finger. No longer. But it is a slight crystalline structure, glowing with the same light of the ether around you, glowing with the same light, though dimmer than Astrea's gem, that pearl that you'd found. But it's enough to know that these are of the same nature.
Same nature, okay.
Now, would this be the opportunity to examine this rather than the actual gem?
Absolutely, yes. Since that we're not fighting, there's no one dying. I have time.
Okay.
So, is that gonna be identify again, right?
Yeah, but we can make this a ritual, so you don't need to...
Fair enough. We have time. Okay, let's go.
As you sit down, hunched in the little corner of this ship, just that we can see sort of Gizmo's shape almost holding this little sliver of crystal in your hands. You are tinkering with it, examining it. And one thing that, as you're casting Identify, the Identify spell is made to recollect, or basically it's supposed to interrogate the item so that the item answers back what it's been made for, what is its purpose, what kind of influence upon reality this object will have. The answer that you get is confusing, because it is not about how it can change reality. It is the fact that this is unreality. This is chaos. This is pure energy that wants to not... This is magic in a crystalline state. Pure magic. Pure energy.
Okay.
And just in this little sliver of dimming light, you realize what you've kind of been told about the sea itself, right? The sea is magic. But when you're listening to sailors, the sea is magic in any world. But here, this little sliver shows you that by manipulating it, this is much better than gunpowder. This little thing is reality for anything you can think of. And your mind, one that's been trained to put things together, to scramble and improvise things that would go together, some of them go boom. You start realizing that this little thing right here, this little sliver, would be able to magic your way through pretty much any invention you might have.
A gizmo likes to hear.
And I think somewhere in the back of your mind, you're already thinking about that pistol that you have sort of kept to your side, not with a lot of ammunition, unfortunately. But you're thinking, wait, if I push this sliver into it, maybe it can do something. Maybe, just maybe, by tweaking frequencies, by tweaking alignments, refractions, maybe that you can make this into an object of, well, something that could hit, something that could burn, or something that could protect. Enervate, energy, in its many ways or form.
Ooh.
Now, do we have an idea at what form that could take?
Did I send you the references?
You sent me a couple of references, but that was before I told you that they only need to be one item and not three.
I mean, there's only one reference I like. It's the first one I sent you. That
Okay.
one is just,
Okay.
it's just perfect.
Fair enough. So, with that, we are going to confirm Gizmo's stats as Artificer Artillerist. And, most likely, Master Gunner.
Nice.
As soon as
May
the
we
ship,
all rest in pieces.
as soon as the ship gets cannons.
We are not safe about that on that bucket.
We don't have cannons yet. so-
Right. Well, you've got a gizmo.
Technically, we do have one now.
Very small cannon.
It's called Eldritch Cannon. It has the word
Personal.
cannon in the name, so to me, we have a cannon.
Say hello to your little friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Want to get another tantrum, Farron? Let's see who has the bigger gun.
This won't end well.
Speaking of Farron, let's move to
Oh,
you,
no.
shall we? This is happening. This is sort of a loose timeline, right? As in, Astrea has been starting to get the crew sort of ferried backwards and forwards between Bulwark and Sentinel. There's the skiff is being used backwards and forwards almost constantly now to either move people backwards and forwards to bring supplies, because let's face it, the ship is on one island, safe where it is. Though it's been basically built inside of a cave, which for merfolk would be easier to come and build in, but it's going to need to break that teeth-like structure that is closing the cove. And at that point, who knows what happens with the currents. So as you're seeing this sort of backwards and forwards, we see time pass. At least until the first night. And I think Farron, at some point, whatever troubles you might have, you either by exhaustion or maybe somebody knocking you on the head, you fall asleep and you dream. The dream starts as many as you've had recently or in the past decade, where you find yourself again in that fateful bar, that fateful tavern, that fateful playing table, the green velvet covering, the cards in front. Those cards that ever since that first encounter, you've never really been able to read. And that ever clinking of coins that go from metallic to wooden. As you've been reminded that anything, any wealth that would go through your fingers belongs to that grinning face on the other side of the table. And he's there, again, shuffling the cards, playing a form of solitaire to himself. But this scene is different. It feels less of a dream than, it feels more real. A waking dream of sorts. It's only happened a couple of times, but it never really boded well. And this time, as you manipulate the coins, they don't turn to wood. The clinking stays metallic. The coin flips from finger to finger as you play around with it, and it might change. The faces on the coins change. The shape of the coin changes. But it stays a coin, stays gold. Dear boy, dear boy, dear boy.
What in the hell's Mally?
Now, can't you guess?
What changed? It's not paying back fast enough for you? You know there was
Fast
treasure.
enough? Boy, when I took your debt on, and I've gave you a few gifts here and there, I was expecting a return on investment. I was hoping that you would be pushed to a bit of grandeur, a bit of ambition. Instead, I find you in the lowest taverns of the port, scrubbing dishes. Clearly, I bet on the wrong horse here. Humans.
This is...
Look at you. I can barely... Look, I've made my calculations. And from what I understand, from what I can see of you now, I wasn't gonna make back that debt in your lifetime. And I've got means. I've got a way of life I've got to protect. I've got people where this money needs to go to. I've got my own debts. I can't afford to keep you on. You get that now?
There was a treasure right there. I've
There
been joining the...
always is, boy. There's always something just on the edge of it. And do you think that would have changed anything?
Was about to.
Well, it came too late for me. No. Look. Anyways. Deal's been made. Deal's been done. Deal's been changed.
Deal? What deal? With whom? With
I'll
what?
get to that. I'll get to that. Now you've become impatient, huh?
So you just what? You just sell me onwards?
Somebody's offered to buy your debt, and I could not afford to refuse. Don't worry. From what I understand, you are better suited to his contract than mine.
is that?
And to
supposed
be honest, last few days seem that his gifts seem to be more appropriate than mine anyways. Though you'll be keeping a couple of tricks from my patronage.
So what does he want? Does he want? Is it not gold now? Is it jewels? Is it?
There, boy. That is no longer my affair.
You're not even gonna tell me who it is?
Oh,
What it is?
I'm not. But he just might. And the scene, as he backs up into the chair, the scene goes dark. The image of the bar, the wooden walls, the brush, the gurgling of the crowd around fades away to whispers, to stone floors and marble pillars. You find yourself now, instead of seated in the bar, you find yourself standing in a gallery of marble, a palace of white marble lined with purplish crystalline veins. Lining this long corridor on either side, you can see that this is a gallery of statues. Each of them may be 2 to 4 meters tall, depending. All of them humanoid, some of them not, but incredibly realistic. As in, you could recognize each individual one in a way. And all of them seem to have between 2 palms a book. Each one of these books carved out of amethyst.
Okay. Do I get the sense that those statues are? I mean, are those statues or are those statues of?
If they were people, then you are in a hall of giants.
Okay.
But it doesn't seem to be the case. They are incredibly realistic, but the proportions would say that these were carved, or these are not people in themselves, right? At least that's what you or proportion. Well, then again, as you look upon them, as you step forward, something's wrong with the proportions. Something's wrong with the parallax. As you step forward, they seem to stay the same size. However close or far that you seem to step forward towards them. And you then, just maybe a moment later, as you're looking to one of the statues, it's this woman with you can guess that she has sort of a pale expression, long silvered hair, but her features are almost too smooth. As in, you feel like it's a face that has been carved to perfection, but without the imperfections that you would find in a normal humanoid. As you go to step towards it, you can see that she's wearing garb that would indicate a fighter of some kind. She has a rapier at the side of crystalline nature as well. And she has that allure to her, somebody who's known to show themselves to others. A bard of some sort. And as you step forward, there's just that little whisper that comes to your mind that names her. You hear the word, or the name, or the title, Dragon Singer. You are pushed away as something more revelatory to the side, comes a voice. It says, "Welcome. Welcome, little one.
Where am I?
In my library, of course." The voice comes in. There's a glow coming from one of the ends of the corridor, which is strange because as you look towards the corridor, you can see this shape sort of seated, and as you turn around to have a look at the other side of the corridor, he's there as well.
Okay.
"Come, approach. You need not fear me."
Well, if I understand this correctly, you just bought my debt, which means that I might have reason.
Yes, well, I have the means, and you were wasted upon that rabble.
What was he?
He was a broker. He dealt in material. I look for something pure, something more, and something that you are in a unique position to give. Come closer. Do not stay in the dark.
I step forward. What am I wearing as I walk through these halls?
Strangely enough, you are wearing. Actually, the moment where you ask yourself, "What am I wearing?" and you realize that you are wearing. You almost all of a sudden you feel the weight of the clothing that you've been wearing for as you were shipwrecked. You feel that the weight of that half sword that was at your side. You almost now feel the weight of your past travels, that exhaustion, that all of a sudden that character that you were in the dream with the green one all of a sudden has shifted to your present, your past becoming present, updating in this dream. As you step forward, it's almost as in a step is 20, but none at all. As in, again, you see the shimmering, the shape of the person, incredibly tall, taking up the whole entirety of this arched way. But as you get closer, his size does not change, so that when you get to him, the throne that he's sitting on is pretty much at human height. As he stands from his throne, there's a brief moment where he towers over you like a giant or like a god. But as he steps off the pedestal, he's there in front of you. Human. Well, human looking, anyway. Bald head, a knot of hair coming to the sort of braided from the side of his head, sort of falling down on his shoulder. He's wearing what seems to be extremely rich but simple clothing. A draped white cloth, shimmering silk, though gleaming with something more. There's something about him where that trick that you do by creating more worth to it, that trick that the green eyes have taught you, here you're feeling it wouldn't work because it's already too much. This silk is out of this world. There's something more. And then you start to realize that everything that he's wearing is simple, incredibly simple, humble even, but incredibly rich in its materials. That eye that you developed, this man is a walking treasure trove that any dragon would be envious to have beneath its feet.
Listening.
You see, two creatures such as I, we who can bring material wealth at will and wish. We do not crave this, and I give it away freely. I do not crave power, for I give it away freely. What I crave is what I cannot have here in this palace. What I crave are stories. I wish to see the worlds, to see the universes, to see the planes. But great as I am here, I cannot move. I cannot shift between domains of gods and immortals. I am too heavy a presence to not intervene with what I would like to watch. Which is why I seek out every single little thing that I can find. The smallest of creatures, set, the smallest of jewels set in their pieces, so that I may watch through their eyes. Did you not like it? Those new eyes that I gifted you, to make sure that you would see in the darkest of darks.
So it was you that gave me this, and I manifest the blade as well.
Of course. What adventure would not have its adventurous tools? Are you not happy with it? Would you wish for something else? And the blade turns into a magnificent saber. A weapon more of legend. And you can see again it shifts in this two-handed maul that would be appropriate for the greatest war chiefs. Or something similar, more devious. And it shifts again from this heavy maul into this dagger, a kriss, waved and serpentine, with runes of poison written upon it. It drips with vengeance.
I vanish it. So what? Am I to be what? The latest character in a story? Am I?
Be
Is this
who you wish to be? Explore. You have been witness to things that I would only dream of, that others would kill to see. Waves, an ocean of magic.
and what?
Wondrous.
And I what? And I tell you the story. And what's the how do I pay for this?
There is no payment. Live your life. Experience. Do whatever you wish to do. The only thing that I would request from you is that upon the day of your passing, your memories would be mine. That is the only claim that I have upon you.
So I am. What? I'm free to go. I'm free to own.
Yes.
Do whatever.
Yes. You are of a distrusting nature, I understand. That is the nature of your deal with the green eyes, and I understand it fully. He was quite the negotiator, until I showed him the true error of his ways. That man lacks poor management. But he himself has a good selling point, and sold you as the pearl that I know that you are.
Right.
The more
Okay.
you experience, the more that you see, the more I can help you experience even more. wish to
Right.
fight? I will give you a blade. You wish to see? Haha, well, I have given you your eyes.
If I just wish to live a quiet life, tire from adventuring,
Well, then I will be bored.
okay. So what, my memories, is that what? Is that, and I look back at the statues, it's like, is that what they did?
Most of them, yes.
So is that their afterlife then? They exist as books in your library?
I am no devil, nor am I angel or deva. I do not deal in souls or in afterlife. I just want your story
Right.
to read and browse and pursue. Show me something
All right.
unique, little one, and I will reward you for it. Be
Then what
boring,
ma-
and I will find disinterest in you. And you will not see a single book in my library that has not interested me. Those I discard.
What happens to those you discard?
That is their story, and hopefully not yours.
All right.
So go, Farron. Show me what adventure is like upon the waves of Starlight.
So,
And you wake.
fucker didn't even give me his name.
And with that, we will confirm Farron. Well, as Warlock of the Genie. And the chef, cook of the crew. And if you want his name, you're gonna have to earn it, friend.
Well, looks like I've got work to do.
Maybe so. Lastly, Astrea. Things have been going along now fairly well. The crew, well, this handful of survivors who've been sort of brought together by adversity, they've learned over this past almost week now to work together at least for a common goal. And the fact that now that there's a ship, that there's an escape possible, makes it all the more motivation to work together. And so we find you, the last couple of orders given, there's a moment where there's nothing really to do as orders have been given, things are going, and you're waiting for that moment of feedback. But you know that you've got a couple of hours before you. So where do we find you? Cross-legged, meditating.
Astrea has, on her previous ship, taken the habit of meditating in the open, under the stars. So she would actually probably be maybe even leaning or using it as a lean-to. Markov's false tombstone.
Okay.
Or
Interesting.
at least using it as protection from the wind, and is sitting just next to it, and yeah, she is cross-legged, just relaxing and resting.
Again, we find you in that meditative state, that sort of bringing back all the memories and sort of organizing them, setting them to the side, going from short term to long term, sort of resetting yourself for the task to come ahead. But once again, you are brought back to to deeper memories. We are brought back to that assault. Somewhere in the among the stars of the expanse, of the wild space beyond the expanse, we see Astrea, this time from your point of view, again, always from your point of view. We see you jump into that ship, that crew of miscellaneous creatures, all of them beneath you in rank and in worth. We see you cutting through them with a blade of starlight where blood, ichor, and fluids just burn at the touch. We see you cutting through armor, pushing with a wave of your hand people off ships into that darkness, most likely never to be seen again. You fight until one of your men salutes you and you understand that you found what you've been looking for. Your prize that has been taken an age. This is the promise. This has been your goal for what some would call years in a space where there's no time. You jump into the hull, push yourself to the back of it, and in the hold, you see that there's a young girl, elven shape. She's a waif. She would look barely adolescent. Trembling with just holding a blanket around her, and she's looking at you in fear. You are given a lamp. It is of strange. It's a crystal, spherical crystal. Half of it is silvered so that it would mirror the light that would come out of it, so direction light. And as you shine the light upon this little girl, her shadow is projected onto the wall behind her. But instead of that little girl, you see the shape of a coiling, feathered serpent. And you smile. It is confirmed. You have what you were looking for. And your family, your clan, will reward you highly for it. Your memory moves forward. The capture of this creature, as the way you force it to reveal its true form, this guato, this creature of celestial origin that you know to be the enemy of your god. In this perpetual war in a space without time, they are the key to the exile of your god. They are the cause of it. You are sure of it. That is canon. That is gospel. And they should suffer for it. We see you joining in the hull of your own sky ship, your own space. Well, they have a name for that, I think. Something Spelljammer, I believe. She has been hooked on into this machine, into this harness, where silver blood is being extracted. drip by drip, into vials which you yourself grab a fresh one and screw into your pack. As we see the silver lining alight tattoos along your arm, and you flex, feeling the power of the divine flow through you. It talks to you. Astrea, this is the first time that this is not the first time you've captured one of these. You were part of crews that did that. Captains who've made their rank, who've made their careers in a way, their glory on capturing one of these, but no one has captured one of these. This one is of a higher rank than you've ever seen before. This one talks. And for a moment, you indulge in its lies. You indulge in its propaganda. This is the enemy and you've always known it. But as the memories move forward, we find you listening more attentively, more and more. And there's a moment where you realize that what it is saying is true, at least true enough so that you have it, that it has your attention, until it says this one sentence that will change the way you see reality. We are not your enemy. You are ours. We do not hide her from you. She flees you. You open your eyes from this meditation, and gleams before you that constellation that you have been ignoring as far as you can. The constellation of the three-headed queen, this great serpent of fire, which you have searched for so long and now are ready to follow. Astrea, we will now confirm you as a cleric, Twilight Domain, and captain of your crew.
And as Astrea opens her eyes and the constellation blazes in front of her, she's got a hiccup and a laugh that dissolves into tears, that goes back to laughter at the absurdity of what just happened.
The ship slowly is prepared. Your new crewmate, the original shipwright of this vessel, is a boon to help you, one and all, build whatever you might need. It takes a few days, a little less than under a week. It is enough work to keep the people steady-minded, steady-handed. To the point where, as sails are set, the teeth of Sentinel Island broken enough to let through the schooner, you set sail across the waves of Starlight towards the Isles of Drake, where adventure awaits. And that's where we're going to leave off for tonight.
Ooh, we're on the open seas, guys!
Cool.
Friends, foes, those in between, thank you for watching. This marks, well, next session will begin the second fable of this adventure. Thank you, friends, for playing the Treasure of Shipgrave Reef, Fable 1 of the Pirates of the Aetherial Expanse. We will get to learn a lot more about these characters in future fables. But for now, well, you know the drill. If you want to have, if you just want to follow the story, well, we invite you to pass on to the next video. If you want to hear our little facts and opinions, our thoughts, well, just stick around for another couple of seconds, and we'll see you just after this little break. See you there. And we're back. So, how was it, gang?
Hey, Captain.
Please speak.
I just want to talk.
This is intense. This is so intense.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I felt there was a lot of monologuing. I apologize for that.
No. I think it was. I mean, I was as part of the audience. I was delighted.
Didn't have an issue to keep my microphone muted.
By the way,
Yep.
Pax, so I just wanted to say something. So my idea was we were going to be playing we were going to get the preparations, any dialogues, between the four of you, or any NPCs, and then we'd leave with the ship. And then we would break there, and I would do the confirmation, so later. Right? I would do that one by one, every, sort of. And then you went and gone to talk to Emil. And I'm going, wait, this is confirmation of you were basically using those stats as a scofflaw, which is basically allows you to, in combat, use strength for any charisma check.
A strength or dex for any charisma check, yeah. Which most of the time will probably be strength.
And I'm going, okay, we're doing this now, right? The interludes are happening now. But originally I had a very different interlude for you, which was basically going to be you sort of confirming to the mutineer. So, what's his name again? Aaron.
Yeah.
Basically, he was going to taunt you about choosing Astrea as a captain, right? And then you bloody had that conversation with her in the first place. So I had
Listen, I've said it before, but you know I'm a DM. I also like juicy stories, sir. Please, sir, may I have some more?
So that threw me in the loop, and then I realized, yes, that conversation with Emil was just amazing.
Oh, jitters. The quakes in your chest you get when you get excited about a scene, that I'm still riding that high.
There was also a part of me when you said, "Will you follow me?" And I'm going, "Oh, mutineer." As in, he's ready to get Gizmo. He's done. Pax is going for his own crew, and Astrea is just the front man. And I'm going, this is interesting.
There is a degree of Pax not being cut off from his former crew like the other people are in the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something he's going to have to go through or surmount or see whatever happens. Because, yeah. Slow burn, baby.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, gotta have some frictions left.
So Gizmo. Speaking of,
Yes.
there was very much a moment where I'm going, am I good? I had that scene planned out for the interludes for a while, right? You realizing, by the way, this magic stuff, I can make it whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping that you would steal the pearl, and that you would have that by examining the pearl.
I wanted to.
I know!
Initially it was like,
Then I decided I was not going to sort of launch you into PvP, and so if just a shard is enough, then we'll have enough, right? But yeah, so now technically your pistol is now your arcane cannon.
Yep, it is indeed.
Alright, so that's going to be fun. You basically shooting people and get temporary hit points for you, and you.
Nice.
And you throwing it to the ground and it having sort of its own little legs and moving about. So we'll try and see what kind of. I'll try and find a token for that. It's in my next things to do. So how did you like it?
It was nice. It was very cool. Description was spot on. And yeah, Gizmo's got lots of ideas. It's like, wow, I can make things go boom for free now. I don't have to worry about, people telling me not to do it because I can.
Mm-hmm.
Because after that, you don't have any powder, boom powder left.
Well, that's the point. I don't need boom powder anymore. Like, I am my own boom powder now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be fun. Also, I found a very cool reference for the.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if I want to spoil it. No, I'll send it because it's a.
Yeah, send it to me.
So.
It will be seen soon enough.
In any way, quite honestly, between Emil and Gizmo, Gizmo definitely keeps PAX on edge more. Fangs, claws, no problem. Explosives on the ether? I can't really do much in that case.
That's true. That's very
Oh
true.
shit.
Oh, ship, yes.
Yeah.
Oh god, Emil and Gizmo kind of like, stop blowing holes in my ship!
So I'm guessing you'll be taking Emil as shipwright.
Yeah. Pretty sure. I mean, we're not going to make him captain.
Nope.
I mean,
And
you
if
could
there's
be...
anyone who
Go
there's
ahead.
anyone who knows that ship, it's him.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to. I'll ask the question just before we close up. But before that, so Farron. So of all the people here, you are the one who knew the least about your own backstory.
Yes, deliberately so. Yeah, thank you for messing with me ever so slightly there. No, but it's fun though, because without knowing a lot about the backstory of what exactly happened to him, I had a fairly good idea of who Farron was. And Farron was, at least he starts out as this guy who still hasn't recovered from the fact that life hasn't given him everything that he thought he deserved, and who's been kind of like very passive and cruising on it, kind of like, making by along the way. And so it's nice to kind of like have that side of him come out a little more, like the getting drunk and kind of like being hesitant, but also kind of like being like a petulant kid when he was like, no, I had it, it was almost there, and then I lost it. And then basically have the new patron be like, okay, I dare you to be badass. I dare you to actually be someone.
Yes.
Is interesting. And then of course, the whole facial journey happening in the middle of the screen with Emmeline kind of like listening to your descriptions and being like, I know something you don't, and I'm like,
That was very.
Yeah. So
but-
there. You know what, audience? We will not be revealing who Dragon Singer is, Go look it up yourselves. You will find her on the channel. I'll say no more.
By the way, Farron, because I had a little bit of that impression of the character, but I had no idea it was that deep. I'll let it cruise and everything is owed to me, basically. How did Astrea's speech go?
I mean, it's more or less it made perfect sense for who Astrea is and for who Farron is. And on top of that, like, Astrea has already tried to essentially work Farron in the past with kind of like the whole kind of like psychoanalysis session like a few episodes ago. And so it kind of makes sense. I'm like, oh yeah, that's so sad. Get your shit together and pull your weight, you know? And so
Yeah.
And the fact that the fact that your patron basically said the same thing.
Pretty much. How was it for you though? Because I know that we haven't been on the table kind of like before this campaign. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, this okay.
Good. I honestly, I had a lot of not fun, even if fun also, but
You can say it.
I had a lot of okay, this makes sense kind of feeling when I was giving Gizmo and Farron together their get your shit together speech, since you two were the people Astrea had tried to empathize and already hype up a little bit. Because Gizmo, we also had that discussion, and at the end she told you you're gonna have to step it up if you wanna, if you
want to.
more gently, but if you wanna get somewhere, you're gonna have to step it up. And so this time was okay, but now shenanigans are done. We need you really need to step up.
Which makes sense, and in a way, it's interesting because it highlights the fact that Farron is maybe just as immature as Gizmo, but in a very different way, and hasn't really stepped up to the plate in very much a similar way, and I was like, because initially, funnily enough, I was like, okay, what do I do with Farron in the early episodes? And I wasn't really sure what to do with it, and then I was like, oh no, he's passive. He's passive as hell because he hasn't really been, you know, in a position where he's been forced to make difficult choices. So how about I lean into that and see what happens? And then I kind of grew. But I hope to make him a little bit more, you know, dynamic in the future because now he has something that he knows he has to fight for. Because I don't think he wants to find out what happens when he gets discarded from that guy.
What happens to the do not read?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, intriguing. And yes, I do not have his name, and there are so many questions that I wanted to ask. Like, for example, you know what? No, I'll keep those. I'll keep those for in-game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I loved your faces, all of you, watching your faces when you discovered what Astrea was up to. And we've been talking about. There was a whole theme with Imnine about what happens when your backstory, when you're more awesome in your backstory than at level 1, and how did that happen? Right, especially when you have astral elves that are immortals in a space where there's no time. Right? Said how many eons do you get, and why are you only level 1? And so it was an interesting exercise working that out, and we came up with this backstory, which is
you still switched things up on me.
Oh,
yeah. They weren't supposed to be the enemy, but I like that detail. I really like it.
They weren't.
No, there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes more sense. It makes even more sense than what we had thought in the beginning. But
Now I will say, I am the victim of my own improvisation sometimes. So if you do feel that there's retconning, it will happen, right?
No, it's okay. It's good. For the others, we had originally planned that, yeah, I was hunting for those celestial beings, but it was more to get closer to the god's power than because they were the enemy in the backstory.
Yeah. But the idea is that they're the enemy because they're the cause. They're keeping you away from your god.
Yeah.
And then you realizing no, they were defending it because it's fleeing from you.
Yeah.
You're the predator. Yeah, that's gonna be a thread to pull on.
I don't know. Making
again-
something called the three-headed queen of fire run away from you is pretty badass, if you ask me.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, she is a divinity of the Astral Sea, pulled directly from the Aetherial Expanse. So,
So we'll have ample opportunity to explore this, but the four great constellations, so fire, earth, water, and air, are not only the constellations, the cardinal points of this setting, but they are actually considered the four prime gods, basically, of this setting, which means people worship those four entities. Of course, what happens when you see something in D&D and decide that's a god? Well, it usually becomes one. But when a god becomes into being, it's always been there. So let's get into that cosmog. So yes, Asteth, the Empress.
yeah.
And, well, again, I'll be sending you a primer on, if you wish, on whatever you might have seen. But, yeah, so... but I love seeing your face of going, she does what to the Celestial?
yeah, it's like what?
Oh, by the way, Gizmo, sorry man, no hard feelings. Please don't hate me for using you as a club.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
You knocked him
I
down.
love Yeah.
It was so fun.
Like, I've been sitting on this, ready to do that with the first enemy I could find, and just the fact that I've done it with Gizmo makes me so happy that this is the birth of that move.
It's like our own version of Toss Me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Smash
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so
We're
now
gonna have to practice that, so next time I can grab you on your back and you're just having your claws out.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gizmo, now you know you're worth a d6 of damage.
Just as much as my short sword. It's cool.
Yeah, it's just the idea is that watch out because they'll take just as much. By the way, thank you for not using that other move that you are now able to do with improvised weaponry.
Well, I couldn't do it at the time I used him as an
True.
improvised
But
weapon.
please
Yeah.
do not use Gizmo.
I will not use that when I'm using Gizmo.
What does that do? Just
Yeah.
out of curiosity.
No.
Should I
I'm
reveal it or shall we see it in a combat?
What do you guys think?
Your choice.
Let's save it.
I'm willing to
Alright.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah, let's save it.
Yeah.
It'll happen soon enough.
Also, I want to point out that this keeps building up on the fact that this world will have multiple units of measure based on gizmos. Because we already have like one gizmo of height, now we have one gizmo of damage.
Yeah, roll
We'll
two
slowly-
gizmos.
Yeah, exactly. We'll keep adding gizmos in all the measurements.
So what's a D8? That's a Farron?
I
No,
would
I
say-
think yeah.
I mean, give me another combat and we'll find out.
No, we know that one pax is one byte's worth of D10.
No.
We know that the D10 is pax. So,
Yeah.
But yeah,
If,
anyways.
and if we ever get to figuring out what an Astrea of damage is, then something got seriously wrong.
Yeah.
Pax isn't powerful enough to wield Astrea as a weapon.
Scaredy cat.
Oh, by the way, I picked Twilight Cleric, which means that I just got access to martial weapons and heavy armor.
That's gonna be fun.
Twilight clerics are busted.
Yep.
In the best
Yeah.
way.
Yep. So, on that note, there is one last mystery that that we need to sort of come up with, and which is the name of the ship.
Yeah, we were discussing that. We were voting.
Yeah, there have been a few suggestions made.
No.
I think we could have one secured by next session.
Oh, I think that. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
probably.
looking through all of you there and all of them and seeing how the votes, and I'm pretty sure that we can come to this. I think we can make a revelation here about the name of the ship being